Welcome to today's daily worship. Today's passage is Psalm 94, verses 16 to 19. Anxious about our anxiety. Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will take a stand for me against evildoers? Unless the Lord had given me help, I would soon have dwelt in the silence of death. When I said, "My foot is slipping," your unfailing love, Lord, supported me. When anxiety was great within me, your consolation brought me joy. We'll now take a closer look at today's passage. What do you do if you know you aren't supposed to feel anxiety, but no matter how much you pray, believe, and hope, it doesn't disappear or loosen its grip on your life? What does Jesus think about our overwhelming yet often unexpressed fear and anxiety that lies beneath the surface? In today's psalm, we read about what to do when anxiety consumes us and when fearful thoughts envelop us. In verse 19, we read that God's consolation brings us joy. God didn't turn his back away from the psalmist or turn away from his anxiety. Instead, God faced forward, met him in his moment of fear, and his presence brought him joy. It was the psalmist absent of joy that found God's compassion to be a lifeline. As the psalmist felt hopeless, he cried out to God, and God drew near. The paradox of our anxiety is that it invites us to look up and make connection, rather than look within and step into isolation. In other words, we cannot be healed of what we refuse to feel. The psalmist discovered a truth we may want to ponder when we are experiencing anxiety in our lives. It's not so much about looking at the situation at hand, as much as it's looking for space for God to act in our lives. We must make room for God to come in and fill the gap between what we hoped would happen and what it is we are currently experiencing. Littered throughout the pages of the Bible, we see the places and spaces where Jesus touched people's pain and strengthened them in their struggle. They were the places Jesus intentionally chose to dwell and draw near. Your despair, discouragement, and despondency is precisely the place where God's presence swells and where God promises to meet you. Our anxiety is not the place where we are abandoned by God. It's the very place we encounter him. Today, rather than trying to find an off-ramp or quickly racing past emotional challenges, attempt to share your heart openly and honestly with God, bringing yourself totally to your encounter and interaction with him. Silencing the inner turmoil that anxiety brings is not necessarily the best solution. It's sharing our heart with the one who hears and has all power in his hands to whisper with his still, small voice over our lives and situation.